Joint venture. Okay, so in my previous class, I have already completed the characteristics of joint venture. The characteristics of joint ventures, that is, create synergy, that is, risk and rewards can be shared, no separate laws. Now, what are the advantage of joint ventures? I think I have already completed this part also. Economic of scale, access to new market and distribution networks, innovations, low cost of productions, brand name, access to technology. Today we're going to start. Okay, I have also completed the unit 4, I think. Regionalism, the bilateral free trades. No, today we're going to start unit 4, that is international trade policy. What is international trade policy? It is the commercial policy referred to as a trade policy or international trade. It is a government policies governing international trade. It is a government's policy governing international trade. Commercial policy is an all encompassing terms that is used that is being used to cover topics which involve international trade. Trade policy is often described in terms of scale between extremes of free trade, no restrictions on trade on one side, and protectionism, that is high restrictions to protect local producers. On the other hand, a nation's commercial policy which include and take into account the policies adopted by that nation's government while negotiating international trade. There are several factors that can have an impact on a nation's commercial policy, all of which can be an impact on international trade policies. So international trade policies, which is a it is a commercial policy. First of all, you need to remember that is it is a commercial policy which encompasses to cover the topic which encompasses the term which cover the international trade policies. It is nothing, you can see, it is just a scale between the extreme of free trade on one side and the producers on the other, protect the producers or consumers on the others. Okay, now there is always the nations, or you can say the government of any particular country who is doing the international trade, they always keep the concept in their mind that there must be a high restrictions while doing this international trade. Okay, there must be a high restrictions while doing international trade, as because if there is no restrictions, there will be many consumers, producers, manufacturers who can abide by the rules and laws and regulations. Okay, who doesn't care about the laws and regulations. That is why while doing international trade, it must be kept in mind that the laws are equal and it cannot be broke by the individuals of that particular country. Okay, individuals in the sense the producers, the consumers, or you can say the manufacturers or the industrialists. Okay, whosoever doing the free trade business or international trade business, they are need to follow the laws very strictly. Now, this is called international trade policies. Now, what are the theories on international trade policies? What are the theories on international trade policy? Now, trade policy has been controversial since the days of mercantilism. Okay, economics or political economy has developed in major part as an effort to make the clear various effects of trade. Now, first of all, regionalism. Regionalism in the sense or regard a trade agreement, RTA. Regionalism in the sense it is a, you can see, it is a trade agreement, and the trade policies that are crafted by the nations in a region for the purpose of increasing agreements, increasing agreement, in increasing agreements agreement that are crafted by the nations in the region for the purpose of increasing international trade in the areas. Now, regional trade agreements has been described by supporters as a mean of increasing free trade with a goal of eventually merging into larger either bilateral or multilateral trade deals. Okay, so regionalism trade agreement which is crafted by the nation, okay, of that particular region, and its purpose is to increase the international trade. Its purpose is to increase the international trade. Now, international or regional agreement, trade agreement, it is described as a mean of increasing free trade. Okay, increasing the free trade with goal perspective they having in their mind just to attain huge profit and just to merging with other countries. This is the most important concept of free trade agreements. Okay, this is one of the most important agreements of doing any free trade agreements. Now, regional trade agreements are useful, also useful in resolving the trade issues. Okay, there is another important point, that is, you may going to get this type of questions: what are the aspects of regionalism, or what are the features of regionalism? So, according to regionalism or regional trade agreements, the most important factor is just to resolve, is also resolve with the multiple trade deals. Multiple trade deals in the sense, suppose we are having our Indians are having a multiple trade business with USA, UK, Japan, and all. So this regionalism or regional trade agreements, this will going to observe the laws, rules, regulations that need to be followed very strictly while doing international business, free trade business. So this is one of the most important characteristic features of regional trade agreement. Another important factor is that they are beneficial to one side, other side, particularly if some of the participants are nations that are still in development. Now, there is negative aspect of this regional trade agreement. What is that? It will going to come to your examination. Any negative reviews or any negative factor of regional trade agreements, then you need to answer that it is unfairly beneficial to one side. It is very much unfairly beneficial to one side. Suppose an industrialist, to any industrialist of that particular country, they may be beneficial. But suppose to that particular country where the local affairs, local cultures, or you can say sub district or district, they will not going to get benefited from this regional trade agreements. That is why it is said that regionalism or regional free trade agreement, it's completely one side trade business. Okay, it's completely one side trade business. You cannot have that opportunity that every sides of the business, particularly uh, if you are observing, if you are trying to find out that this regional trade agreement will be much be beneficial for every aspects of that particular country, no, it's completely wrong. It is only up to one sided. And those countries who are underdeveloped or developing country, for them this regional free trade agreement is not very much useful or not very much beneficial to those countries. Okay, so always remember, though it has its positive aspect, apart from that it also carries a negative aspect also. The positive aspect that for this free trade business, it is a multinational trade business where this, according to this free trade agreement, they are very much highly observe the laws, rules, regulations in a very strictly manner basis. Okay, while doing free trade business, this is one of the positive aspect of this regionalism or free trade agreement. Now, one of the negative aspect is that the country which are underdeveloped countries or which are developing countries, for them this regional trade policy agreement is only one sided. One sided means utna profit आप उस जो भी कंट्रीज अंडर डेवलप्ड है या डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज है, उसको इतना फायदा ये रीजनल ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स नहीं पहुंचा पाएगा। ठीक है, तो जैसे इसका पॉजिटिव एस्पेक्ट भी है, वैसे ही इसका नेगेटिव फैक्टर भी काम करता है। दिस इज कॉल्ड रीजनलिज्म। नेक्स्ट कम टू look at the example. As China was in economic power, as China was rising in economic power and prominence, they turn into regionalism as a strategic method of leveling the playing field with Europe and United States. Understood this part? Though China is an emerging power, you know, it is an emerging power and prominence country, and they turned the regionalism as a strategic method of leveling our playing field with European and United States. China is one of the, you can say, tech giants, or China isn't one of, you can say it is more developed in economic power. Every whole aspect of China is developed. Okay, so you can say this China is economically very strong. Now, for them, the regional trade agreement or the trade policy is going to be a very fruitful for them. It will going to bring some positive, always bring some positive, profitable for the China. But apart from China, the other countries such as European countries or United States countries, they are not so much developed, and for that is why the China playing an emerging, you can say, playing a strategic playful mind with these countries, Europe and United States countries, because China knows that if they're going to have the free trade policies with this European countries and United States country, then the margin they will grow economically more stronger and stronger. Okay, that why this is a strategic method used by China in the year 2000. Okay, just to gain profit, just only the main purpose, just to gain profit and just to capture the markets. Okay, just they capture the market. That is why they play with this strategic method in the year 2000. The same happens to the Bangkok Agreement. China signed the Bangkok Agreement with the associations of Southern East Asian nation to reduce tariff in the region. The signing of the agreement also began to push for a formal free trade agreement between China and Asian. However, strained relations between China and other countries and other Asian nations, such as Japan, have prevented the same level of regional trade agreements to be put in the place of Northeast Asia. Now, the same agreement they have with the China Bangkok Agreement, they have this association with Southern East Asian just to reduce the profit in that particular region. Okay, now the signing of this agreement also push towards the formal free trade agreement. This agreement now also puts the formal free agreement, trade agreement between China and Asian. However, there is a relationship between China and other Asian nations, such as Japan, have the prevented same level of regional that put the place in Northeast Asia. So those countries, from this few points or from this few examples, we can assume that those countries who are developed and those who are economically stronger apart from other countries, no, they trying to do the free trade business with those countries who are economically strong, no, sorry, weak. Now the stronger country, economically stronger country, they holds a one point that if we merge with the economically backward, or sorry, not economically weaker countries, na, they can make more profit, they can sell their products, they can sell their mm, goods to that particular country, they can capture the local markets, they can get you can say they can get products which are very low cost. At a very low cost, they get employees at a very low margins. Okay, so these are the profits. Now the economically stronger country will get from the weaker section. That is why this free trade agreements is not 100% successful for every country. There, the next comes to bilateral free trade agreements. I think I have completed this one. Bilateral free trade agreements, tariff exempt policy, ये भी हो गया है. Okay, yes. The governing body, ये भी हो गया है. Globalization of impact of exim policy in the year 1997 and 2002. So what are the impact of exim policy, import export foreign trade policy? I think I have already told you what is exim policy, or what is exim, and when it has been established. Now, the first impact of exim policy in the year 1997 to 2000, that is, first is globalizations of Indian economy. The first important point is the globalizations of important economy. What is this? This exim policy 1997 2000 proposed with an aim to prepare a framework for globalizations of Indian economy. Now, this is evident from very first objective of the policy, which state to accelerate the economy from lower level to economically activities to high level of economic activities by making it a globally oriented, vibrant economy, and to derive maximum benefit from expanding global market opportunities. Okay, from global market opportunities. So, globalization of Indian economy. What is that? This globalization of of this Indian economy is the first evident, you can say, which used for accelerating, means creating a pace in the economy from lower levels of economic activities to high level of economic activities. As you know, after the independence in the year 1947, what is the economic structure of our Indian? Okay, so you can say that now we are one of the fifth generations of economic over the world, third or fifth largest of economical country in the world. But before independence, if you observe, okay, after independence, that is after 1947, you can say, or in the mid 90s, you can say we are a developing countries. Okay, and our economic section is not up to mark, up to date, is not up to the mark. We are not economically strong in the era 1997 2002. Okay, and just to create an impact on our economic growth and structure, or you can say just to create a vibrant in the economic structure of Indian, we are expanding global market just to derive the maximum benefit, or just to derive maximum profit from other countries. Okay, that is why in the year 1997 or 2002, we basically trying to export more and more rather than import. We are trying to export goods more and more rather than importing goods. अभी भी इसका एक एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको दे सकता हूं. फ्रूट्स में आप देख लीजिए, कुछ कुछ मैंगोज, जैसे बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट मैंगोज होता है, कि वो मैंगोज जो कल्टीवेशन इंडिया में होता है उसका, हम लोग को शायद वो मैंगो नसीब होता है, वो फॉरेन में अभी तक हम लोग एक्सपोर्ट करते हैं. We used to export those mangoes, rare mangoes, which is we have a cultivation in India, okay, of those rare mangoes, but it is exported to other countries. Why? Just to get more profit, just to have more income, just to develop the economically, just to develop the economy. Okay, so this is the reason. This is the actual reason why globalizations in Indian economy is important in the era 1997 to 2002. Okay, that was, you can say, that is the rapid, that is, you can say, that was a rapid space. We have a rapid pace of export, doing export in the era 1997 to 2000. We are exporting more and more rather than importing. Then comes to the next impact of Indian industry. What was the impact of Indian industry in the era 1997 and 2002? In the EXIM policy, that is 1997 to 2002, a series of reform measures have been introduced. A series of major reforms have been introduced in order to give a boost to Indian industrial growth and generate employment opportunities in non-agricultural sector. Okay, in the EXIM policy 1997 to 2002, a series of reform measures that have been introduced in order to give a boost to Indian industrial growth and generated employment opportunities in non-agricultural sector. Now, these include the reduction of duty from 15% to 10% under EPCG, Employment Government Scheme, that enables Indian firm to import capital goods and is an important steps in improving the quality and productivity of Indian industry. The quality and productivity of Indian industry. So, in the EXIM policy 1997-2002, a series of reform measure has been introduced in the Indian market. Lot of changes, lot of new things, lot of new policies come to Indian market just to give a industrial boost, just to generate employment opportunities in agricultural, or you can say in non-agricultural sector. Now, this include, there is a reduction of duty from 15% to 10% under EPCG scheme. Due to this growth, due to this industrial growth, there is a reduction of 15 and 10% of EPCG scheme that enable Indian firm to import capital goods, the import capital good, and you can see this point, you can say it is a very important improving the quality and productivity of Indian industry. Just to improve the productivity and quality of Indian industry, this EXIM policy was, you can say, a reform, means it is a change in the you can say Indian industrial growth. Then comes to the next is impact on agriculture. What is the impact on agriculture? Many encouraging steps have been taken in the EXIM policy 1997-2002 in order to give a boost to Indian agricultural sector, just to give a you can say agricultural boost to Indian agricultural sector. These steps include provisions of additional sale of 1% of export from agro products, allowing EOUS and other unit in agricultural sector to 50% of their output in domestic tariff on payment duty. So these are the you can say these are the datas provided by in provided in the policies in the year 1997 and 2002. Now, this impact on agricultural in the year 1992 give 1997 to now 2002 give a in agricultural boost, okay, by increasing the ratio of from 1% export of agro products to 50%. Okay, look at, we are only exporting 1% before 1997, but after that we exporting minimum 50% of our products, of our Indian agricultural products to other by यूजिंग डोमेस्टिक टैरिफ मीन्स डोमेस्टिक उतना प्रॉफिट हम लोग करते नहीं थे, सिंपल, ठीक है, उतना प्रॉफिट हम लोग करते नहीं थे, उतना बहुत कम प्रॉफिट में हमने इतना टैरिफ्स, इतना प्रॉफिट हमने देखा, ठीक है, इन द दिस वाज यू कैन से रादर वन ऑफ द इंपॉर्टेंट इम्पैक्ट ऑन द एग्रीकल्चर. Then comes to next is impact on foreign investment. Then comes to the next is impact on foreign investment. In order to encourage foreign investment in India, the Exim Policy 1997-2002 has been permitted 100% foreign equity participation in case of 100% EOUS and units set up in EPZS. So these are the points you need to remember. What are the impact on foreign investment in India through during this using this Exim policy in the year 1997-2002? There is a 100% foreign equity participation in case, okay, there is now the Indian investment can invest 100% of their foreign equities, okay. And this is set, you can say, a benchmark after 1997 and 2002. There is also impact on quality of upgradations, okay. The entitlement export ISO 9000 certification has been increased from 2% to 5%. ISO certifications ka malum hai, Indian standard organizations, according to this certification it has increased from 2% to 5% of AB value of the export, which has encouraged the Indian industries to undertake the research and development programs and upgrade the quality of their products, okay. And finally it upgraded the quality of the products by this impact quality. Now impact on self reliance, another important part is impact on self reliance, which is another important factor which draws the more important, you can say, on the self reliance, which can draws more important on the self reliance. Now what is this? This exam policy, this exam policy were successful in the year 1997 to 2000, fulfill of one of the India's longest or long-term objective self-reliance. The exim policy has achieved this by encouraging domestic sourcing of raw materials. In order to build up a strong domestic product base, new incentives added in the exim policy, which benefited the exports, which benefited the export. Now, this policy in the year 1997-2000 have successfully utilized a long-term objective of the self using. Now, this policy have achieved by encouraging domestic sourcing of raw materials. Okay. Now, in order to build up a strong domestic products base, this new incentive added in the exim policy also benefited to the exporters. Now, this because of this new impact or the new policies which has been taken in the year 1997 2000, okay, not only domestic product or domestic productions has its own base, strong base in the other countries, but because of this new incentive added to the exim policy in the year 1997 and 2000, it added benefit to the exporter also, okay. So whatever the domestic products we are importing from the other countries, we are using exim policies, we are getting profit. And when we are exporting the domestic products according to the exim policy 1997 2002, we are also having more and we are also generating more and more incentive before this exit policy. Okay, so this was the another advantage on the industrial sector. So how many points are there? You need to remember impact of exim policy in 1997 to 2002. So the first one is globalizations of Indian economy. Third is impact on Indian industry. Then comes to the next is impact on agriculture. What was the impact of agriculture? Then impact on foreign investment. What is the impact on foreign investment? Impact on quality upgradations. This one is also important. Then the next is impact of on self reliance. This one is also very important. Now comes to the next. What are the objectives of the exim policy 2007, 2002, 2007? What are the objectives of this exim policy? 2002, 2007. What was the objective? The main objective of the export import policy 2002 2007 are as follows. Number one, to encourage economic growth of India by providing supply of essential raw materials, intermediates, components, consumables, and capital goods require more more sorry required for argumenting productions and providing services. This was the main objective of export import policy 2002 2007. Number one is just to encourage the economic growth of India. How? By providing supply of necessary raw materials. Okay, by providing supply of essential raw materials, components, consumable, and capital goods. Okay, come to the next point. Just to improve the technological strength and efficiency of Indian agriculture, industry, and services. This is the next important point is to improve the technological strength and efficiency of Indian agriculture. Just to improve the technological strength and efficiency of Indian agricultural industry and services, thereby improving their competitive strength while generating new employment while generating new employment opportunities and encourage the attainment of internationally accepted standards of quality. Okay, this is the second most important factors of you or the second most objective of export import policy. The third one, just to provide consumers with a good quality products and services at internationally competitive price. Okay, this is the third most important objective of improvising the import export policy. What is that? Just to provide consumers with a good quality products and services at internationally competitive prices, while at the same time creating a level of playing field for the domestic producers. Okay, so these are the important three objectives of, you can say, of exim policy 2007 to 2007. Now what is globalization? The next come, what is globalization? What is globalization? Let's read. Globalization is the spread of product, technology, information, and jobs across national border and cultures. Okay, a very good way the definition is being given here. That is globalization. It is the spread of product, technology, information, jobs across the national borders and country. Not national borders must means crossing the Indian borders, going to other countries. Okay, spreading of product, spreading of technology, information, job across the country is called globalization. In economic term, it describes an interdependence of nations around the globe fostered through free trade. Okay, in economic term, this is the definitions you can say in a normal term. ग्लोबलाइजेशन किसे कहते हैं, ये तो नॉर्मल वे में यहाँ पर एग्जाम्पल दिया गया है. अगर इकोनॉमिक टर्म में देखा जाए तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का डेफिनेशन है, इट डिस्क्राइब्स एज द डिपेंडेंस ऑफ nations dependence of nations to the foreign markets for free trade. It is called globalization. जब हम अपने ही प्रोडक्ट्स गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज को बाहर में जाके उसका उस प्रोडक्ट्स को हम बेचते हैं, ग्लोबलाइजली हमारे प्रोडक्ट्स को स्पॉन्सर्स किया जाता है, एडवर्टाइजिंग किया जाता है, मार्केट्स मिलता है, हम उस प्रॉफिट उस प्रोडक्ट से हमें प्रॉफिट अर्न होता है, इकोनॉमिक टर्म में इसे ग्लोबलाइजेशन कहते हैं. लेकिन ऐसे अगर ग्लोबलाइजेशन देखा जाए तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का मतलब होता है जस्ट टू स्प्रेड ऑफ प्रोडक्ट, टेक्नोलॉजी, इंफॉर्मेशन एंड जॉब अक्रॉस द कल्चर्स or across the national borders is called globalization. On one hand, globalization has created new jobs and economic growth through the cross-border flows of goods, capital and labor. क्या बता रहा है? On the other hand, दूसरी ओर globalization has created new jobs and economic growth through the cross-border flow of goods, cross-border flow of goods, capital and labor. Cross-border flow of goods, capital and labor. On the other hand, these growth and jobs creation is not distributed eventually across industries or country. On the other hand, दूसरी ओर क्या बता रहा है? On the other hand, this growth and job creation not distributed evenly across industries or countries. Okay, specific industries in certain countries such as textile manufacturing in US or corn farming in Mexico have suffered severe disruptions or outright collapse as a result increased international competitions. Okay, तो ग्लोबलाइजेशन का मतलब ये नहीं कि फ्लो ऑफ गुड्स, कैपिटल एंड लेबर, इसका एक और मतलब नेगेटिव एस्पेक्ट है. ऑन द अदर हैंड, दिस ग्रोथ एंड जॉब क्रिएशन इज नॉट डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड इवनली across countries और इंडस्ट्रीज. ग्लोबलाइजेशन का मतलब हर जगह पर अपना प्रोडक्ट्स को फैलाना, टेक्नोलॉजीज को अपग्रेडेड करना, जॉब्स क्रिएट करना. लेकिन कुछ कुछ ऐसा कंट्रीज है जहां पर ये सब नहीं होता है. मतलब क्या, ये सब का प्रावधान या प्रावधान नहीं, ये सब मतलब सर्टेन कंट्रीज में ये सब हो नहीं पा रहा है, वहां पर इतना ग्लोबलाइजेशन हुआ नहीं है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इन सच एज टेक्सटाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इन द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स और कॉर्न फार्मिंग इन मेक्सिको. दीज आर द टू कंट्रीज. ओके, यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स और कॉर्न फार्मिंग इन मेक्सिको has suffered a severe disruption of outright collapse of this market. Maybe the collapse of market, collapse of goods, okay, the collapse of farmings and all. It's because of this, the result is increased international competition, जिसकी वजह से इंटरनेशनल कंपटीशंस बढ़ गया था. Okay, now globalization motives are idealistic. Globalization motives are idealistic as well as opportunistic. But the development of a global free markets has benefited large corporations. Okay, but the development, what is this? But the development of global free market has benefited large corporations based on in their Western world. Its impact remain mixed for workers, cultures, and small business around the globe in both developed and emerging nations. In both developed and emerging nations. ठीक है? Globalization's motive are idealistic as well as opportunistic. Okay, आइडियल भी है लेकिन opportunistic भी है. But the development of globe free market has benefited large corporation based in Western world. Okay, look which countries are been profit or benefited. Western market or Western part of the world, okay, they are benefited with this globalization. Its impact remain mixed for workers, cultures and small business around the globe. इसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो कुछ कुछ कंट्रीज में इसका 100% प्रॉफिट हुआ है, लेकिन कुछ कंट्रीज में अराउंड द वर्ल्ड और अराउंड द ग्लोब इसका जो इम्पैक्ट है वो उतना फ्रूटफुल नहीं था, मिक्स्ड रिव्यूज मिलता था। ओके, कहीं पर हो सकता है कुछ प्रोडक्शंस अच्छा हुआ, तो वहां पर प्रोडक्शंस अच्छा हुआ मींस द एम्प्लॉइज हु आर वर्किंग ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर एरिया दे गेट अ प्रॉफिट। लेकिन कुछ कुछ ऐसा सेक्टर्स है या कुछ कुछ ऐसा कंट्रीज के एरियाज है जहां पर प्रॉफिट नहीं हुआ है अच्छा, वहां पर क्या हुआ, मिक्स्ड हुआ है, 50-50 मार्जिन। Okay, so this is the impact of globalizations to every countries. Okay, now globalization explained, corporation gain a competitive advantage. Okay, corporations gain a competitive advantage on multiple front through globalization. They can reduce operating cost by manufacturing abroad. They can buy raw materials more cheaply because of the reductions or removal of tariff. Most of all, they gain access to millions of new consumers. Okay, the millions to the new consumer. What is that? Now, corporation gain a competitive advantage on multiple fronts through globalizations. They can reduce operating cost by manufacturing abroad. Okay, they can, what is this? They can reduce a manufacturing cost by reducing the operating cost. Okay, they can buy raw materials more cheaply because of the reductions or removal tariff. This is the impact of globalizations to the other countries. They can reduce or removal the tariff. They can produce the goods very cheaply. They can sell the goods very cheaply. They can purchase the good very cheaply. Okay, most of all, they gain access to millions of new consumers. Okay, that is why the access goes to millions of consumers. Now globalization expand, तो हो गया। नेक्स्ट है, ग्लोबलाइजेशन इज अ सोशल, कल्चरल, पॉलिटिकल एंड लीगल phenomenon. Okay, globalization comes under social, cultural, political and legal phenomenon. Socially, it leads to greater interactions among the various populations. Then comes to the next, culturally, globalization represent the exchange of ideas, values and artistic expression among the cultures. Then next है, globalization also represent a trend towards the development of single world culture. Politically, globalization has shifted attention to intergovernmental organization. Next है, like the United Nations, the World Trade Organizations, okay, they are also politically been shifted the attention. The last point is, legally, globalization has altered how international law is created and enforced. So these are the social, you can say, globalization's impact on the other countries. ग्लोबलाइजेशन का इम्पैक्ट कल्चरल में भी गिरता है, पॉलिटिकल एस्पेक्ट में भी गिरता है और उसके बाद लीगल मीन्स अबाउट लॉ, इसमें भी इसका यूटिलाइजेशन होता है। नाउ व्हाट आर द टाइप्स ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन? टाइप्स ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन क्या है? इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन, फाइनेंशियल ग्लोबलाइजेशन, कल्चरल ग्लोबलाइजेशन, पॉलिटिकल ग्लोबलाइजेशन, सोशियोलॉजिकल ग्लोबलाइजेशन, टेक्नोलॉजिकल ग्लोबलाइजेशन geographical globalization, and ecological globalization. Okay, so these are one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 types of globalizations are there. 8 types of important globalization are there. तो नंबर वन क्या है? नंबर वन है इकोनॉमिक ग्लोबलाइजेशन. व्हाट इज दिस? It is developed by trade system with translational actors such as corporates or NGOs. Okay, these are called economic globalizations. Economic globalization, it is a developed trade system with transitional actors such as corporation and NGOs. Okay, ये है globalization. Economic globalization comes to the next. Financial globalizations can be linked with the rise of global financial system with international financial exchanges and monetary exchanges. Stock market, for instances, are a great example of the financially connected global world, since when one stock market has declined, it affects other market negatively as well as the economy as a whole. ठीक है, this is called financial globalization. Then comes to the next is cultural globalization. It is refers to the interpretations of culture, which as organizations such as UN or WHO means governmental actions taken place at international level. They are other bodies operating global level such as NGOs like Doctors Without Borders and Oxfam. Okay, these are you can say financial कल्चरल ग्लोबलाइजेशंस. एक बार और पढ़ लेता हूं. कल्चरल ग्लोबलाइजेशन रेफर टू द इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ कल्चर which as a consequences means nations adopt principles, belief and customers costumes of other nations. Then political globalization, it is the development and growing influences of international organizations such as UN or WHO. Then comes to the next is sociological globalization. It is an information moves almost in real time together with the interconnections and interdependence of events, or and their consequences. People move all the time to mixing and integrating different societies. Then comes to the next is technological globalizations. It is the phenomenon by which millions of people are interconnected with digital world such as Facebook, Instagram, Skype और YouTube. समझाने की ये सब तो जरूरत नहीं है. These are the points. It very simple. आप एक बार पढ़िएगा. Still, if you find it difficult in particular area or any particular point, then ask me. Then comes to the next is geographical globalization. What is geographical globalization? It is the new organization and hierarchy of different regions of the world that is constantly changing. Moreover, with transportation and flying made so easy and affordable, apart from a few countries which demanding visas, it is possible to travel the world without barely any restrictions. Without barely any restrictions is called the geographic globalization. Then comes to the next is ecological globalization. It is an account for the idea of considering planet Earth as a single global entity. A common goods of all societies should protect, since the weather affect everyone and we are all protected by the same atmosphere. It is called ecological globalization. Ecological globalization is considering plant Earth as a single global entity. A common good of all societies should be protected, since weather affect everyone and we are all protected by the same atmosphere. Okay, comes to the next is liberalization. What is liberalization? In simple word, liberalization refers to the relaxation of government restrictions in the areas of social, political, and economic policies. ओके, सो लिबरलाइजेशन का मतलब क्या है? लिबरलाइजेशन का मतलब होता है एक रिलैक्सेशन प्रोवाइडेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट टू सम restrictions, relaxation of the government restriction in some areas of social, political, and economic policies. Now, in this context of economic policies, liberalization refers to lessening of government regulations and restrictions for greater participation by private entities. Okay, it is a process to removing control systems in order to encourage economic development. The economy is thrown open, and the best goods and services compete in the market, and the consumer has a choice, and monopolies disappear. In India, economic liberalization is initiated in 1991 with the goal of making the economy more market oriented and expanding the role of private and foreign investment. This include partial, sometimes full of privatization of government institutions and assets, greater labor market, tax rebates for businesses, reduce restrictions on both domestic and offshore capital, open markets for free trade. Open market for free trade. This include these include partial, sometime full privatizations of government institutions and assets, greater labor market, tax rebates for business, reduce in restrictions on both domestic and offshore capital, ओपन मार्केट फॉर फ्री ट्रेड। तो ये सारा जितने भी यहां मैंने पढ़ा, ये सारा एग्जांपल्स है कहां कहां लिबरलाइजेशन प्रोवाइडेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट। ओके, फुल प्राइवेटाइजेशन कर देना, टैक्स माफ कर देना, टैक्स रिबेट करना, बिजनेस रेस्ट्रिक्शंस को रिड्यूस करना फॉर डोमेस्टिक एंड इंटरनेशनल बिजनेस, ओपन मार्केट को फ्री ट्रेड कर देना। दिस ऑल आर द called liberalizations provided by the government. So liberalizations क्या है? It is simply nothing but a relaxations of government rules and restrictions in areas. कौन सा areas? कुछ ऐसा areas जहां पर social, political and economic policies पे अंदर में ही गिरता है। It is called liberalization. There are many revolutionary changes in Indian economy since the spoil of the new economic strategy in 1991. This had great impact on all the areas of in India. When a nation became liberalized, the economic effect can be intense for the country as well as the investors. Now, economic liberalization is relaxing the government regulations in a country to allow the private sector companies to operate business transactions with comparatively fewer restrictions. Okay, the economic liberalizations in India reflect the economic liberalizations of countries' economic policies with the goal of making economy more market oriented and expanding the role of private and foreign investment. This all comes under the liberalizations in India. Okay, where the economic policies is to just to make a goal of making economy more market oriented. Okay, and expanding the role of private and foreign investment. This all comes under economic liberalizations. ठीक है, तो लेट्स कॉल इट ऑफ ए डे, आज यहीं पर रहने देते हैं। कल हम लोग मीनिंग ऑफ लिबरलाइजेशन पढ़ेंगे। मीनिंग ऑफ